kind of look better without that.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. We are live. Apologies, but I was running a little bit late,
That's fine. It
and
happens.
so we were in a little bit of rush. But welcome, everyone. Welcome, Tuna and Errant. We have our usual Blarg, Ook, and Stevo. Didn't hear from Neo, but I guess he can't make it. And John did say he couldn't make it. So
It
it'll
happens.
be just the four of us for now.
No, we can carry
We
the
can make
thing.
it. No puns intended. No
Uh,
pun intended.
All right.
Am I
Before we get
coming
started,
on? Yep.
something important I discovered this week, that if you go to the toilet and the light turns on, you're pissing in the fridge.
Wait, so you normally
What?
don't have a light in your
No, if it comes
bathroom?
on automatically, you're pissing in the fridge.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Just
Oh,
just an important public service announcement for all out there. Since John's not around, I thought I should get things started.
Yes, indeed.
I've
Public service announcement.
actually,
Okay, so until he hears this live stream, he might be doing that.
It could be, yeah.
I have pissed in the wardrobe before.
I pissed on a cabbage once when I was a kid in the
We've
kitchen,
We've all
in
probably
the
pissed
corner kitchen.
somewhere. We've all probably pissed somewhere we don't want to talk about.
Sleepwalking when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
When I did the, I used to do repping, traveling around, staying in hotel rooms. I got pissed one night, and normally, you get up and go to the toilet on remote, and it just happened to be the wardrobe. So I gave him $200 extra because I felt guilty that I pissed in the wardrobe. Yeah, your body works on auto sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But, I knew a mate who used to. He moved into a new house.
There we go.
Hey, Eric.
And
Hey.
Hey, and he used to always piss out the back door for about the first 3 months because the house he was in had an
Oops, forgot to
outside,
close my window.
he had an outside toilet, so he'd go outside. And yeah, trying to get the body to redo. It does strange things. Yeah, it's better than pissing in the wind.
Yeah, that's about right.
Depends on where the wind is blowing from.
Oh, yeah, you could probably use that as a good weapon for somebody you don't like.
What? I must apologise to everyone for the last about the last month or so. I've been a real cranky bastard. They're still mucking around with my pain meds, and hopefully I'm now off all the slow release morphine patches and everything, and they've decided to give me some other drugs that seem to be working better. When I take them, I'm usually asleep by about an hour after I take them, but I'm not getting all the horrible side effects, the vision, double vision, the nausea, the really short-tempered, anger for no reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have been a bit cranky for the last couple of months. So I'll try and be a nice person.
I was thinking that was just you were a bit cranky for the last couple of your whole life.
Yeah,
That was that's just my thinking.
No, it really, yeah. I sat down and had a good talk to the pain specialist, and I said, look, these drugs aren't working. They're working, but they're changing who I am. I don't usually want to, do violence to people all the time, to the point where, like, we've got no trees in the yard at the place we're at, but palm fronds keep coming over and landing in the yard. And normally I don't worry about it. I just chop them up and put them in the bin. The last few months I have been spearing them onto the roof of the house that has all the palm trees. And they got a little cranky, and I said, well, fucking trim. Your tree is dropping these things in my yard. Fucking fix it. Or I won't wait till your children or you are inside before I throw them over the fence again. That's not like me. So, yeah, time to change meds.
Hopefully that is.
Yeah. No, I always look to make sure their dogs and kids aren't in there when I toss them over the fence. Because, once a palm tree gets really dry, they can hurt. They can really fucking hurt people if they hit you.
Oh, yeah.
But plus, they also fill up your wheelie bin. You only need 1 or 2 palm fronds, and your wheelie bin's bloody full. As Blarg can test,
we have a billion. We have a billion of them in my yard. So I just end up having to take trailer loads of palm fronds to the dump every couple of weeks.
Yeah, and they don't go through the mulcher. They won't go through the mulcher. They clog it all up with their fibre and everything. It's fucking. I hate them.
That's all right. I just was going to say we might. I have invited a guy to come along and talk to us about his beliefs that PV or that renewables are greenhouse gas negative. So even though, he's fairly certain he's an expert on it, that's my background. So like a Christian. As soon as facts were put on the table, he moved to another discussion and refused to acknowledge the view at all. So, we can talk through the thread if you wanted. But it'll be interesting to see whether he turns up.
Yeah, I mean,
Wait, but did you call him one-on-one in private first? Isn't that you have to do that?
Yeah, because that's how that works. No, I said I'll be live in an hour. Why don't you come along? And and he responded to that saying that he may. He'll see what I can do. Unlike some people we know.
So I was actually, before Craig even asked how my dad was, and thanks for asking, Craig. I did want to kind of give you guys an update on it because we did end up putting him into a nursing home this Thursday, in fact, and just kind of preparing for that and all that. Just been it's been busy, so I hadn't had too much time to be on the YouTube comments or even on Twitter. So I think I've been haven't tweeted for probably like maybe 2-3 weeks. So
Wow.
yeah,
I'm following you on Twitter, so I haven't seen anything recently from you.
yeah. Actually, I just looked, and the last tweet I had was on the 29th of September. So yeah, it's been a couple weeks, and it's been just kind of busy, and it's hard to see him in a nursing home, partly because we were trying to get him quote unquote the regular part of the nursing home where he would have more community and all that. But unfortunately, with his dementia, they put him in what's called memory care, which basically means it's a lockdown unit, meaning if you are in there, you really can't leave on your own. You can't leave the floor. It's like locked, so people can't just go in and out. Whereas in the
Can,
regular part, the residents there could just like get on the elevator, go down to the first floor, walk out, just take a walk or whatever. So that's the difference, and
have they
it
got a
is a big
garden?
difference. I'm sorry.
Have they got a garden like they can
In
access?
that one, in the one that we ended up sending him to, they don't really have any of that. We were trying to get him to uh like a larger one, a different one where they had kind of like a courtyard, and they had rejected his application because of his dementia, because
Yeah.
kind of had an episode, at that 1 week I had mentioned, and because they look at the hospital report, you know, they they don't have a lock-in unit, so that's why they rejected his application. I think it was a better place, but it's unfortunately, they didn't accept him because of that, and even in the new place they didn't accept him in the regular units. So if I don't know if any of you guys have been in some of these places, but you
Yeah,
see people kind of walking around where they're really out of it, right? You can tell that they're now not all up there, and I think my dad's kind of in sort of the middle. I don't think he's actually in like at risk of where he's just gonna walk out, and then just walk into the streets or anything like that.
is he mainly doing what they did, like sundowning sort of thing? Like it gets worse towards night time.
I don't know. I haven't really noticed it like that. So, but definitely after he's like a lot of times you just kind of fall asleep and take a nap, and when you wake him up, when you rouse him from his sleep, he doesn't recognize me for a little while. It takes a while. Not just me, but even my sisters. It just takes him a while to recognize us, and even when he's awake, sometimes um, when when one of us goes up to him and just you know say hi, and it'll take him a little while, just maybe a second or two, to realize who we are. So I mean, it is kind of getting worse, but I just feel like in some of those places, when people are placed in that environment, that memory care, um, I it's not going to get better. I feel like him, if he was around, you know, other people more, like people
There
his
is
age, he would be
there is
better.
definite studies, and I know a mate of mine who ended up becoming a nurse and a sister and a matron and all that. He went into dementia care, and the more stimulus
Hmm.
they can get, the better. It just keeps their mind going. And part of that stimulus is, if he was an outdoor person, is spending time outside. So, um, yeah, hopefully for the initial time until they can sort of work out what regime might be best for him, that being in a lockdown unit um, is probably the safest thing for him. But try, I know it's hard in the US, try and look around for something that has at least like a good activities program, or that they can at least get outside, or even like big picture windows, that sort of thing, that they can look outside and interact with the world. Even large screen TVs, projection TVs, can help them just remember what the world is like. Um, So maybe keep an eye out for a place like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, the
Yeah,
restriction is, his language. He's not
yeah,
a native English speaker, so trying to get program, geared towards his language, and because I think, being around his other people who speak his language would definitely be help, but it does also kind of, I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose because in the memory care unit, he just around mostly English speakers. So it's funny, his roommate, because they don't have like single beds in these places. His roommate is a Hispanic person. I mean, he's fluent in English, but it, you know, it's not like another person. But it defeats the purpose, to have a program, but not be able to participate in it because he's in the memory care unit. But yeah, I mean, we'll have a meeting with him with the program next week, and we'll try to get him moved to the regular unit. Just because at least right now, I don't think he's like a danger to others or himself, or that he would just like walk out of the place. So
I know it sounds a little horrible, but they do have ankle and
yeah.
wrist bracelets that go off if
Yeah,
you
I
go
think
out.
it really depends on the programs, and also, uh, those are like additional costs and all that,
Yeah, see,
and I
that's what I
think,
said. It's hard in
yeah.
the US.
Oh no,
You
I mean, not just in additional costs as in us, but I think like a lot of these places don't have that, just because for them it's just a hassle in a way. Uh, I mean, like even in the
Yeah, I can
current
see that.
program, they don't have like ton of staff that's constantly like keeping these the patients stimulated. They just have like a program a few times a day, maybe like amounting to possibly 2.5 hours, and that's not a lot. So
Yeah, it's yeah, trying to find yeah. My heart goes out to you, mate, because
yeah.
it's yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
and the
you
other thing is, at least in the U.S., it's just like it's either you pay out of pocket for this, or you have to get Medicaid, and um, you know we've kind of had to do a lot, just kind of moving assets to my mom, just so that he could qualify for Medicaid, because he wouldn't have been able to qualify otherwise. But you know in Medicaid qualification, just you would have to be like really poor. So either you're so poor, or kind of come off as being poor so that you can qualify this, or you're paying like quite a bit per month for this kind of care. And of course, if you have higher quality care, it's like even more. So it just seems like there's a huge gap in between.
I mean, here's me. I was whinging that I had to um, get an ambulance to go to the hospital on Tuesday because I can't drive at the moment. And yeah, it took spent 4.5 hours in an ambulance. Um,
Oh wow.
but at least it cost me nothing
Mm-hmm.
because ambulance is covered under Australian um, healthcare, our free healthcare. And because without that, an Uber would have cost me close to $290 something, and a taxi, forget it, 500 odd. And yeah, I couldn't catch a bus, a train, and then a bus because at the moment I'm using the wheelchair a lot. I can walk about 50 meters, and then my legs give out. Um, yeah, I lose feeling in my legs at the moment. So yeah, as much as I might whinge about the Australian healthcare, you poor bastards over there, yeah.
Yeah, it's not
But
easy.
another thing, and I am only saying this because I talked to my
By the
mate
way,
yesterday.
I didn't realize that Plarg has a affectionate name for his wife, Coffee.
Coffee.
Apparently.
Well, hey, it works.
Yeah, that's a good.
That's
I
so
just
cute.
usually, yeah, coffee, coffee now. The
Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry, Just Dave. I'm sorry you had to subscribe to comment. Oh no. By the way, you can just unsubscribe afterwards. I'm not sure why that's such a big deal for you, but
oh,
um,
sorry, who is just Dave?
he said he was invited, so maybe he's Belarg's guest.
Oh, I can put the link in.
Yeah, I'll put the link in. I'm really sorry you had to actually subscribe to my channel,
Yeah, I,
and
I
and
invited him.
and
Um,
you're gonna have to take an extra step of unsubscribing afterwards. But here you can come on, and we can talk to you. So yeah, sorry about that. Hope it didn't ruin your day.
Maybe you could get because Brendan, the guy, the matron, it's weird. Even even though he's a male and been a nurse for 40 odd years, he's got up to matron standard. They still call him a matron. It's a bit strange, but you can get here um, extra like physio and stuff to come in to the wards to help. So I don't know whether maybe that would, if they had that same sort of thing in the hospital that your dad's in, maybe you can get some um, extra care to come in. I'm thinking maybe someone who speaks the same language, you know,
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to
cost
costs.
and yeah,
The long
yeah,
term costs. So yeah, I mean, when we weren't, because it also took a long time just to kind of get him situated where he could get, uh,
any care,
help. Yeah.
yeah,
And we were almost at a point where we would have had to kind of pour our money and try to pay out of pocket, but yeah, fortunately went through. And this is, I think, might be something where once he kind of gets acclimatized to it, the other place that had rejected it, maybe he'll be able to go there, because it might just be a little bit better. But and all this is like a business, right? They're trying to make a profit, so it's not like they're gonna spend tons of money on this. They're just gonna do the very basics just to be able to, I guess, meet their obligations. And
yeah. It's
yeah.
that's the thing. They got to juggle their bottom line, if you will. But no, the best of luck to you, mate. But at least he's getting well, some of the care
Yeah,
that
yeah.
he needs, which
I
is
mean, I think he would be. I think once he gets used to it, it'll be okay for him. But let's just add Dave. Hey, Dave, FYI, you don't have to turn your camera on. As you said, we're a bunch of cowards, so we don't have our camera on, except Ook. Ook's not a coward. So it's up to you. You can leave it on. You can turn it off. Can you hear us, Dave?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
can
yep.
hear
can.
you now.
Okay.
yeah, you're coming in
Yeah,
good, Dave.
yeah, no problem hearing you.
Okay.
Right. I'll
So
just give
thank
a
you
little
for
in.
coming on, by the way, because I mean, we do invite a lot of people, and most of them are a bit of a coward and unwilling to actually talk to us, talk to people. But thank you for coming on. And I'll hand it over to Blarg because I think you have a little bit of a background with Dave, right?
Yeah, I was just going to introduce our little interaction that led me to say, "Hey, Dave, come on and just talk to us. It's easier than what we were doing." So I'll just share my screen. Share. So over here. So it started on the AXP video called "A Special Message from Forrest Valkai." And a couple of days ago, Dave posted a comment that I got involved with, and we've been talking since. So this is the, hang on, I should make sure that that's added to stage. There we are. All right. So this is Dave's comment. And Dave, just jump in if you think I'm misrepresenting or saying the wrong thing. You're more than welcome.
Yeah, no, the comments are there. That's fine.
Yeah.
So we have a disagreement on the viability of PV or alternative energy as opposed to what is considered regular grid power.
Yeah, and I thought, well, we were getting into some details, and there's a lot of detail to be discussed in it. So in a lot of ways, rather than just keep sort of working at it through posts, it just might be easy to talk. So hence the invite. So yes, for those who don't know, I just hit Dave up with this like an hour ago. So the fact of the matter is he jumped on straight away, which is pretty damn unusual out in the world. So yeah, kudos for coming on too, Dave. We'll get that going first. So this is Dave's comment. Got about a quarter of the way into your nonsense. The biggest problem is your view on climate change. I live off grid, and thinking solar, wind, etc. will solve problems is absolute nonsense. I can assume the same about the rest of your video. It's about time you viewers started doing your own research to find the truth, because you don't have it.
Well, so here's the issue. You say I don't have it. Depends on who you talk to. Some scientists are saying off-grid works in certain situations, and I've talked to people who have designed wind turbines. My contention is, at an individual level, a person living off-grid, like I do currently, will work just fine. I decided what my needs were. I live off-grid, not a problem.
Yeah, so obviously you're not against renewables per se. You're just of the opinion.
Well, here's my biggest problem. Don't call them renewables, because they aren't. They are alternative energies. They are an alternative form of energy, not a renewable. There's nothing renewable about solar, wind, or anything else, even hydroelectric. It's not renewable.
Wait, why is it not renewable?
Well,
why is it not renewable? Why do you say it's not renewable?
You don't use it up.
It's easy. Okay. Wind blows past a wind turbine. Will that wind ever touch that wind turbine again? No. Therefore, if the wind stops, that wind will never affect it. The photons from the sun hits a solar panel. That photon will never, ever touch that solar panel again.
Yes,
that's not what renewable means. That's not what
renewable means. Okay, what's renewable about it? Explain it. Go ahead.
Is they don't get
renewable energy and PV, which is what we're talking about.
Dave, hello. Can I just jump in and give a quick little background for myself?
Yeah.
I worked for quite a long time, like well over a decade, as an electrical engineer in a group called Alternative Energy Solutions. I'm I have a background in physics and electrical engineering, with a career in electrical engineering. So I worked not just in the engineering part of it, but I did also the economics, the risk analysis, changing the way in which so I worked for a poles and wires company, and the way in which the entire company interacts with renewables. So I have an enormous background in this. It was over a decade of doing that specific thing. So doing research into what makes sense, what delivers results, economically, what doesn't make sense, what policies can help. We also helped write new policies for government to change the way in which they interact. So it is a big background in that. So, but also I don't expect anyone to just believe my say. So hence the reason when I make a statement, I usually back it up. So not just with I told you so, but here's the evidence. So that's my background. Now, as to the definition of renewable, the difference between renewable and non-renewables is there is a certain amount of hydrocarbon that is sequestered underneath the surface of our planet. It got there in a couple of different ways, either through during Carboniferous period when fungus hadn't yet worked out how to break down lignin. And as a result, the trees stacked up and eventually got covered and squished in what we now see is called coal. And in other areas where sea creatures accumulated on the sea floor and become covered and under heat and pressure, that is now called oil. There is no more of that being formed. So when we take it out of that store, the store is, if we take 1 kilogram away from the store, now there is 1 kilogram left, and there will never be another kilogram of it available. The difference with PV and wind is...
Have you heard of a place called Saudi Arabia?
Dave, just let me finish.
Come on.
When we take...
You're stating everything that everybody knows already.
Dave, can I just finish the definition of renewable? So when we take a unit of energy of solar or a unit of energy out of wind, we haven't subtracted solar from the planet. We will get another delivery of solar and then another delivery of solar for the next billions of years. It doesn't run out, no matter how much of the stuff we use. And similarly, wind is slightly less because wind does reduce slightly the amount of wind. But if we stop taking wind, the wind will go back to exactly how it was. It doesn't get depleted for all time by us using it. So that's the difference between renewable and non-renewable, is whether it gets depleted. Fair enough?
Let me ask you a question then. Let me ask you a question. Hydroelectric renewable?
Sorry?
Is hydroelectric power renewable?
It depends. It's a bit renewable. It's certainly
it's either
somewhat.
Yes or no. Is it renewable?
No, there isn't a black and white. There's some things aren't black and white in the world.
Exactly my point.
Waterfalls. Stop. Let me finish. Water falls into catchments, and if they are trapped in dams, the difference in height will be a renewable resource. But unfortunately, with dams, is they tend to trap silt, and as a result, the dam capacity reduces over time. So it's not the availability of water that's reducing, it's the availability of space in the dam that is reducing over time. So it's not quite as clear cut as the others, but it's generally renewable. There are also pumped hydro. So that is a whole other thing as well. So that's essentially a battery using the different...
As an example of my experience, I live near Grand Coulee Dam, probably the largest dam and most prolific dam in the United States. And I did a simple test as to what the output, the annual output of Grand Coulee Dam is as compared to an equivalent size of solar or panels to create the same amount of power Grand Coulee did. I looked at Ivanpah Desert, which has one of the largest solar arrays in California, Nevada area. It would take 81 square miles of solar panels to make equivalent power to Grand Coulee. Grand Coulee uses a whole lot less area than 81 square miles.
Except it kind of doesn't. Also, I don't
Yes,
think
it does. I looked it up. Now, the other thing you got to calculate into that thing is with 81 square miles of solar panels, that only includes the output of the solar panels. Now you have to have storage to output it during a 24-hour period. It doesn't, the math does not add up. And if you can show me any place where the math adds up, the output of 81 square miles of solar panels will equal Grand Coulee Dam and maintain power at the same consistency Grand Coulee Dam will, I might believe you.
Wait, what
But
is your
there is
point? I don't get
nobody
it.
out
What is
there
your
that'll
what
tell you.
what is your point?
My point is you cannot use just solar. You
Nobody is
cannot
saying
use
use Dave. Nobody is saying just use solar. Nobody's saying just use wind. That's a completely irrelevant argument to the question.
No, it's not irrelevant because you can't replace it. You need wind, solar, fuel, everything out there to create the power this earth needs.
Yes, I know. And nobody is saying just use one. I don't know where you get that idea from. I've never said it. No person who has any clue what they're talking about will have ever said it.
Then why are you arguing for solar?
Dave?
Solar won't work.
No, I'd never did. I started arguing for renewables starting with one item. You can't argue all things simultaneously. You start with point one and work your way through. And I made a discussion about PV that you pointedly ignored and moved on to the next because you didn't like the conclusion.
Wait, so Dave, your argument is no, you can argue everything at once. Is that what
my argument
is that what I heard?
You can argue everything at once.
Yeah, I know. That's what I just said.
Maybe I didn't hear you right. My hearing's not the best in the world sometimes. So, I'm well over 70, so get over it.
Well, that's fine. The point I was making is you made a claim that PV has a higher embedded energy, a higher embedded CO2 cost.
No, I didn't say it had a higher CO2 cost. I said the initial cost for creating solar panels is overall higher than creating what we already have. You got coal, you have natural gas, you have others, and the initial cost without subsidies, you take all the subsidies away, solar and wind are more detrimental to the environment than natural gas.
Dave, that was exactly the point I just made. That was the claim I said you said. That it costs more in greenhouse gases to manufacture the PV than they will deliver, so they cannot deliver the results. They can't help the environment. They only harm it.
That's what I'm talking about. That was my whole argument with whoever I was talking to. Forget his name.
That's me.
Sorry about that. But no, if you can't directly replace grid power with the so-called alternative or renewable energies, you're wasting your time. on an individual
unless-
level, on an
unless we-
individual level,
Dave,
you can
Dave.
replace solar and wind,
Dave,
or replace a
If-
grid.
Dave, so you're saying unless we can get rid of 100% of CO2 emissions, we shouldn't attempt to get rid of even 1% of CO2 emissions.
Okay,
That-
okay. Here's my basic question to every person I've talked to on this subject. What is the ideal level for CO2 on this planet?
Less
What is
than
it?
what we're currently doing. And it's more important is not the actual total number, it's the rate of change. It's more important the rate of change than the actual number, because the numbers have been higher than they are now, and the temperatures have been higher than they are now. But what hasn't happened now before is the rate at which it's changing. That's the problem, not the actual number. So if, for example, the temperature increased to a worldwide average, so at the moment the worldwide average is about 15 degrees centigrade. If the worldwide temperature increased to 30 on average right across the planet, and that happened over the next 20 million years, the planet would be fine. It would adjust to that. The animals would evolve. There would be no problem. There'd be some extinctions, but as a general rule, animals would evolve to handle that. But the problem is, if we did that over the next month, almost every animal on the planet would die. That's the problem. It's not the rate, it's not the total temperature or the total CO2, it's the rate of change of it that is unprecedented in as far as we can tell, any time in history.
What is the rate of change currently?
I don't know the exact number off the top of my hand, but it is faster than it's ever been. So there was a previous time around the, what's it called, the Younger Dryas period, where there was a sharp uptick in temperature, and then there was a great extinction period that occurred with a sharp uptick, and both of those occurred at a slower rate than we are currently changing the CO2 and temperature. So that's the important part.
Have you ever heard of the Cambrian? See if I can say this right. Cambrian explosion.
Yeah, but that's not relevant to our discussion either.
Yeah, actually it is, because that was the highest rate of CO2 that the world has ever seen.
And again, it's irrelevant, because I didn't say it has to do with the total CO2. I said it has to do with the rate of change of CO2.
Okay.
So,
and I asked you, what is the rate of change?
And I said that it's higher now than at any other point. So bringing up the Cambrian doesn't matter. As I said, we could make the CO2.
So first of all, we don't know the rate of change during the Cambrian time. But here in the graph,
roughly about 6,000 to 8,000 parts per million, which is way above what we got.
That's not the rate. Do you understand what rates are, Dave?
I'm just saying we will still survive off of the higher CO2
So
level.
did you hear Blarg explain to you why rates are important, or no?
It's not the ultimate number. It's the rate of change. If things change slowly, organisms can evolve to handle that. If rates change really fast, that exceeds the rate at which organisms can adapt, and it kills them. So it's not the ultimate number, it's the rate of change of the number. And the rate now, as I said again, is faster than it's ever been. That's what's important. But again, this is taking us away from the point. So I wanted to get back. I'll just put this comment up back on the stage. So I'll get us back to PV, which is where I started talking about debunking your claim that it has bigger CO2 output than its value. Oh, hang on. So here's I don't know. Can you see that all right? The discussion here. So
no, I'm on a tablet or a
that's all right. I'll
read
read it out. I'll read it out anyhow. So this is the post I put up 21 hours ago, addressing Dave's complaint. So as for your repeated claim that there are no CO2 emission benefits, again, you couldn't be more wrong. Point one, a life cycle assessment for the full life cycle, including mining, manufacturing, transport, installation, and disposal gives embedded emissions of between 400 and 800 kilogram equivalent of per kilowatt, which is to say the equivalent 400 and 800 kilograms of CO2 equivalent. So it's not just necessarily CO2 emissions, there's methane emissions and other things, but they get changed into equivalent of CO2 to give that number. And that is for every kilowatt of solar panel produced, there is a total emission of 400 to 800 kilograms of CO2, and that is dependent upon the type of solar panel and upon its location of manufacture. So the high numbers come from panels manufactured in China, which have a high rate of coal burning per unit in their grid, compared to solar panels manufactured in Europe, which have a lot more wind and a lot more nuclear in the mix up there. So they have a lower intensity grid, and they have better processes. So as a result, there's a range. And I back that up with a paper by Christian Reichel et al. Called CO2 Emissions of Silicon Photovoltaic Modules, Impact of Module Design, Production Location, Proceedings of the 8th World Conference on Photovoltaic Energy, Photovoltaic Conversion, Milan, Italy, 2022. So it's a pretty new paper presented at a big world conference. So and it's peer reviewed. So there's the evidence of that. Next point: the average electrical grid CO2 intensities of the US grid is 81 pounds of CO2 equivalent per kilowatt. In Australia, that number's well over 2.5 pounds per kilowatt, because we're mostly coal, we have no nuclear, and we so as a result, our renewable intensity is for every unit we use, it produces a lot more CO2 here, which is actually one of the reasons why electric vehicles are actually as polluting in Australia from a CO2 perspective per kilometre as petrol cars, because of the way in which our electricity is produced. But anyway, getting back to this, so that's...
And they don't fucking work well in Australia.
Yeah, but anyway, and then I gave an example of a home in, for example, Sacramento, California. I just picked a place. In northern states, up in the Dakotas, you'll get a worse outcome than this. Down in Texas, you might get a better result. But this was just as an example. It'll produce about 1,600 kilowatt hours per kilowatt of solar panel per year. And over the 20-year life cycle of that solar panel, that'll produce around about 30,000 kilowatt hours per kilowatt of panels, which is about 3 panels today. And then from point 4, from 2 and 3, we get the example that a 1 kilowatt solar array over its 20-year life will save just over 11,000 kilograms of CO2 emissions when compared to the US grid average, which is to say that it will have saved 93% of the CO2 emissions, or it will have paid back all of its CO2 output within the first 18 months in America. In Australia, it's only a few months because of our higher CO2 emitting grid. So a 20-year life panel will pay back all of its emissions within the first 18 months, which absolutely categorically destroys the idea that and remember, these are life cycle costs. These aren't just one part of it. This is everything from mining to getting rid of the panel at the end of its life cycle. It gets rid of it. It pays itself back something in the vicinity of 7 times over its costs. In America, in Australia, it pays itself back somewhere closer to 40 or 50 times over. In terms of how much it reduces it. Then you can use those savings to manufacture more solar panels in a grid that has less CO2 intensity and becomes better and better as time goes on. So that was the point I want to make to start with for photovoltaics. We can talk, there's all of the different components of renewable energy are out there, but we can only deal with one at a time. This is
And
photovoltaics,
just
and
FY,
it's a great solution for adding energy to the grid without adding carbon intensity.
so this is from the NRES.gov in terms of the total life cycle emissions costs for each of the different technologies. And you can see coal is the worst at 1,001 grams per kilowatt hour. Whereas, when you get into photovoltaics, it's 43, 13 for nuclear. So just in terms of this is just more for greenhouse
Yeah,
gases,
it's just
not
another.
necessarily.
Yeah, it's another way. But this is great. This is a great tab also because it gives this total equivalent. So I've gone and worked
Oh, wait a
through.
minute. We've lost him.
Ah,
Don't know if he got disconnected somehow, but
Yeah, he also
yeah,
said goodbye.
I mean,
I did notice it went quiet.
it's just the idea of saying that it's not renewable because once the photon hits the cells, you lose that photon, so you can't renew that photon.
And
Yes,
I
but you
mean,
get
oh
one
my
more.
God.
and also it's also a frame of reference for what you're actually using, like coal, methane, all that. That's won't be replaced for years, hundreds of thousands, millions of years. While solar and wind is always there. It's gonna outlive us.
I mean, I gotta say, Dave seems not quite. I don't know. So
Yeah,
this doesn't seem to get it.
that's
But
why I
I mean, like,
invited Dave
did you
because
see? Did
Dave.
you see his last comment where he calls you a coward because you didn't give him a way to contact? Of course, he somehow was able to get on. So,
Yeah, yeah. I
Pop,
invited
pop the
Dave
link in
because
again.
he's.
oh wait a minute. Oh what? You can't find the link? Oh my gosh, this is just.
Yeah, his net's dropping in and out.
Yeah,
I mean, the, I did, on the Gold Coast, I had,
Wait, what does this mean? What does this mean? You are as corrupt as Aaron and Matt when I talk to them. Oh my
Aaron.
Dave
God.
Raw
I'm not
and Matt
sure.
Maloney.
He must. Yeah, must have called in on a show.
Oh wait a
Yeah,
But
minute. Is this RB Win?
it could be actually.
Oh my
maybe
God. Yeah, it could be.
I mean,
because he doesn't. He basically carried on like a Christian who doesn't want to hear. He's got his religion and doesn't want to hear anything about it. So he just moves on and moves on and moves on. Keeps changing the topic every time you crush one of his points, and I don't think it could be crushed any more strongly than I just did.
I mean, the whole thing with solar and wind is, well, when I was on the Gold Coast, my house, my shed, I even had two small wind generators on the shed. My electric bill was the highest it ever got to for the 3 years we were in that place was $30 a quarter. So the power I generated went back into the grid. So only paying $30 an electricity bill, to me, that's a win.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
is very much so.
but
And
also, Craig, come on, mate, don't take away all our fun.
Yeah.
He,
Don't crush it, man.
he's terribly fun, just
I
like
mean,
everybody else.
especially if he
got a
is RB
religion.
Win,
Yeah.
what also the thing to remember is what sort of batteries are you running? Once the solar goes away,
Yeah. Well,
there are better batteries out there now than there were 5 years ago. Yes, they are expensive, but in the long run, as Lager's already said, the cost of making those batteries, ecology-wise, is so it decreases as the amount of time goes by and the amount of power is generated back into the net, I don't really think. I'm trying to think of all the guys out bush that I know. Yeah, they're full on solar power, and I'm in
Wait a
Australia.
minute. I
we've
don't think Dave realizes that he has dropped off. He thinks he's still on. I
Yeah,
mean,
Dave.
Dave, you've
Yeah,
dropped off. We thought you ran away, but you
not
must
on.
have somehow got disconnected. I mean, I can't believe you can't figure that out. But
Yeah, pop the link in again, and you
no,
can
I
go.
did. It still can't seem to figure out. Okay,
Yeah.
here's the
Yeah.
link,
But I
Dave.
mean, the thing is to feed back into the net is the responsible thing to do, as far as I can see. I don't know. What
Yeah.
do you reckon, Brad?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. If you want to do the best sort of thing by the sort of grid, put the PV panels up first. That's the simplest, easiest win. Don't put a battery on your house to start with. Dave kept trying to argue that everybody should be off grid. That is an absolutely terrible idea, and it's really easy to understand why. Just imagine you and your three neighbours have a cloud go over the top of your house. Now you're going to have to be running on, if you're off grid, you're going to have to start using your batteries. So you're all going to have batteries that can cover off that period. Up the street, the cloud didn't block off those people's PV, and they're not using a lot of electricity. So the extra that they're using can just flow down to your place if you're on the grid. No batteries are needed in any of those houses, and it really, really saves on that. So batteries are way down the thing. Don't sweat over. Get some PV down the track. A little bit of battery may be of some help. In Australia, it makes a lot of sense, certainly in the warmer climates where we are, to face your PV panels to the west rather than to the north. So we face ours north to get maximum kilowatt hours per year, but actually you're better off facing it to the west to get a slightly reduced number of of kilowatt hours per year, but it better matches your load profile. So, you know, in the afternoon when the heat started to get into your house and your air conditioning has come on, that's when you're going to use the most power. So yeah, you try and match your panel output to the output or to the power use of your house, and that's better. Use your power locally. Don't put it back if you can't, but if you can, you know, if you got extra, put it back in, and essentially it works by every kilowatt hour you put back out into the grid is, you know, however many kilograms of coal that don't need to be burned. So you don't need to store it in a battery to start with. Start with that. Down the track, eventually batteries will have to be replacing the coal-fired power stations, and a lot of those will be on grid batteries because of economies of scale, and also certain chemistries of batteries work better as grid batteries. So, for example, we're all familiar with lead-acid batteries. They're really stable, well understood chemistries, well understood behavior. They make good house batteries but they're quite large, but they make good house batteries because they don't do thermal runaway, they don't misbehave, they're really well understood, particularly if you don't run them down. They'll last a good length of time, and they're highly recyclable. So they're great for that. But there are other chemistries out there like vanadium redox batteries, where they've got big tanks of vanadium.
Is that the liquid batteries?
They are. They're two. You've got giant tanks of vanadium in two different oxidation states, and they're passed on either side of a membrane, and the electrons pass across it, generating a current. And as a result, if you want more storage, you put bigger tanks, and if you want more power, you put more of the membrane. So they decouple the power energy storage relationship, but they're very low density. So they're enormous tanks for storage, but they make sense. Build big tanks, so those are they're good. There are other ones, the sodium batteries that are molten sodium. There's
liquid
sulfur.
ones.
There's all sorts of them out there, but
those liquid ones, I know 3 guys who have stations, or what would you call them in America, ranches, who run those liquid batteries. But they can put them away from the house, and they also have their front yards, so 50 hectares, so they've got the space to do it. But even out there, they've got all the solar, they've got the wind. They still have to run off generators sometimes.
Yeah, well, look, for Aaron, vanadium is an interesting one because it uses 2 different oxidation states of vanadium in each of the tanks. What tends to happen with the fuel cell membrane arrangement is that where you have 2 different chemicals on either side of the membrane, they kind of leach through over time, and you get contamination on each side by the chemical on the other side. But in the case of vanadium's on both sides of the membrane. So if you get like the vanadium 5 comes through into the vanadium 3 tank, it doesn't matter, it's still vanadium. And then as it goes through an oxidation reduction cycle, it just gets turned into whatever's the appropriate oxidation state. So they tend not to have a problem with contamination, which is great. Whereas there was another company that was doing a different type of redox that doesn't do that, but is more energy dense. Redflow is the name of the company. So there's just saying there's lots of battery chemistries out there. There's a good chance we'll start seeing some sodium type batteries that work the same as lithium. Because sodium's a heavier metal than lithium, it won't be as energy dense as lithium batteries, which makes lithium batteries better for cars. But maybe sodium batteries will be better as fixed storage batteries in places like homes or backups at substations and stuff like that. So it's batteries are a thing we're going to need down the track, but you don't have to start with batteries. You can just save the planet 1 kilogram of coal that you didn't burn at a time, and work your way from there. But then you add this, sometimes when the sun's not shining, it's overcast and blowing a gale. That's why wind is a really good addition to it as well, because wind quite often blows when the sun doesn't shine, and quite often when the wind's not blowing, the sun does shine. So they mix together well. Pumped hydro is a great addition to the mix as well, because that's essentially a giant battery that is absolutely perfect for following the grid, because it's just a hydro system that you can run in reverse. And also in isolated systems, if you have a wind turbine, you can connect that directly to the motor of the pumped hydro without any need for rectification or any of that. And it does not matter what is happening with the wind turbine, it will always result in pumping. So it's the simplest possible arrangement you can have. And then you just rely upon the hydro component as the thing that supplies your community with power. I did a study about that a while back and proved that this system works. So there's lots of ways, but it's a mixture of different things, which is what Dave wasn't sort of getting. Nobody says you should put one single thing in, and I'm not adverse to having nuclear in the mix, but eventually I don't think there's any reason to add new nuclear. We'll never get it in Australia in any useful time. And by then, solar and battery renewables and battery will be just cheaper per kilowatt hour than nuclear anyway.
By the way, do you think Dave is MAGA?
Look, I'm gonna.
So a funny thing that Trump said was that he said solar and wind doesn't work because when the sun goes away, solar stops working, and when the wind stops, you can't turn on your TV. He's somehow not aware that there are things called batteries or other
Yeah.
types of energy storage, and it
Ah,
just kind of
except-
reminded me of
Yeah.
Dave. Just kind of his thinking. I'm
You
sure he
know that,
understands that there is a battery, but it's just that type of thinking.
you
Remember
know
that?
that
Remember him talking
wind.
about going down in a boat where you get electrocuted or eaten by a shark.
Oh yeah, right.
You know that wind and the hydro pump. A mate of mine owns, or is the manager for the station next to Bow River up in Arnhem Land or up in
Mm.
Northern Territory. They've managed to get two of their dams working on that hydro jet pump thing, powered by all the windmills that they got
Yeah.
around, and they've actually got more electricity than they can actually use.
Yeah.
He said, "This is amazing. Our family's lived here for 6 generations, and it's the first time we've had air conditioning." It's yeah.
Yeah. So here's another comment from Dave that kind of epitomizes how he seems to be just unable to understand science. So carbon is the 15th most abundant element in the Earth's crust. But hydrogen is the most, so we should be like working on fusion. However, we don't run on just pure carbon. Petroleum isn't just pure carbon. So
Coal is.
carbon being yeah, I guess technically.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
You
but-
got
Yeah.
me. You got me there.
Yeah, and that's the only reason that diesel generators are actually similar carbon intensity to coal-fired power stations. So coal-fired power stations are way more thermally efficient than a
Right.
diesel generator, but diesel burns a whole lot of hydrogen and emits water vapor as a significant byproduct. About half the weight of the output of a diesel generator is water vapor. So as a result, even though it's only about 25% efficient, or 30% efficient roughly, it has a similar carbon intensity to the 60% efficient coal-fired power stations because they emit only CO2, with some other trace things like sulfur dioxide and, mercury.
Yeah.
Everyone
But
loves
carbon being the
mercury in their life.
15th most abundant element in the Earth's crust means nothing. I mean, that's
It's
not how
again
things
irrelevant.
work.
It's irrelevant, like the
Yeah.
the CO2 level during the Cambrian.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
At
Just
the, at
not
the
being
end of
able
the
to
day,
connect things together.
it's everyone should be trying to reduce, for want of a better word, their carbon footprint, but also putting power back into if everyone just sticks some solar panels on their house and puts power back into the grid, it's going to lessen eventually, with a bit of luck, the greenhouse. It's just one of those things. And I mean, the biggest thing America can do is stop driving those bloody land yachts that they call trucks.
Well, or convert to. Well, look, the reality is, electric. I don't have a problem with electric vehicles per se. For most people, think of an electric I sort of think of an electric vehicle a little bit like a tablet versus a laptop. Your laptop's the thing that you do certain things that you really can't do on your tablet. But your tablet's the thing that I use most. I think of an electric vehicle in a similar way. In Australia, it doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of CO2 emissions. But if you've got a house that has PV and you're charging your vehicle off of that, then hey, you're doing great in terms of sort of saving the planet. But never ever, it makes no sense to go and get rid of a vehicle and then buy an electric one to try and save the planet, because the embedded costs in electric vehicles are enormous, and you have to put an enormous number of kilometers on them to get them back. But ultimately that will be a place as the carbon intensity of the grid reduces, then the carbon intensity of the things the grid produces will go down as well. So, you know, it's not there yet, but yeah, for most people, they just drive around town most of the time, and little electric cars make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't have one, but that's a whole other story. Just like, here's a curious thing. I know all this about PV and how it stacks up economically, and I have no PV on my house. And that's because I live in an old house that has no available space on either the north or the west-facing sides of the roof, only some on the east. And I have an old switchboard, so the economics of me installing PV would be that I could put minimal amounts of PV in useful places on my roof, and I'd have to buy a whole new switchboard and wiring set up for the place. So just that's going to be $5,000 roughly, plus the cost of the PV. So yeah,
those switchboards
don't work.
In Australia, those switchboards are fucking expensive.
But they're brilliant.
Yeah,
I love it so very, very much.
Trying to get the electricity in Australia, it's not just like one. We have a governing body that signs off on all the electricity, but you can get any electricity company come out and install new switchboards and all that sort of stuff. But then you've got to get it,
tilting.
You got to get it to
solar.
Oh, I thought I kept on thinking you were talking about penis and vagina. So
yeah.
Hey, I haven't gone sexual this whole live show.
Yeah, I beat you to the punch.
Yeah.
That's a cue that does it tonight.
That being said about the PV, though, I'm gonna hopefully this week I'll get in contact with an electrician to look at putting PV on my shed next door. The missus told me that if I want to be able to use the office in my shed over there to breed fish and shrimp, and then I'm going to have to put PV on the shed first. I'm like, oh, I can do that. I have 33 PV panels standing up beside the shed that, yeah. So.
Did you manage to wrangle to con your way into getting 3-phase to your sheds?
No. I bought the shed as is.
I was lucky enough to talk an electrician into, when I had the house in Brisbane, to install 3-phase power to the shed and to the house, but he was able to do it on off-peak power. So the 3-phase only clicked on when it was off-peak power, which meant I could run the pool, pump and all that sort of stuff on 3-phase down, and it saved a lot of money. But I had the same problem with you. Like the house I bought in Brisbane was built in 1901. So, yeah, the cost of redoing all the wiring for the house was, extravagant. Unbelievably extravagant. It still had the old Bakelite bloody PowerPoints.
Hey, sorry, tilting. Maybe it's just my industry insider jargon sort of kicking in. That's just, how we talk about it. So, and you're right. Mostly people just refer to it as solar, but I kind of
I mean, it's just
don't even
solar.
think about it.
Solar isn't always PV. That's why solar isn't.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, so there's solar thermal, which I got involved in a bit of that as well. Actually, some years back, I travelled to Barcelona for, my wife was there for a conference, and I went along to carry bags.
If you were there, you would have said Barcelona.
Barcelona, yeah. But I got people from Abengoa Solar to come. Flew down to Seville and come and collect me, and took me for a personal tour of the solar thermal power station that Abengoa owns just outside of Seville. Oh, that was such a great trip. That stuff's expensive, and I don't think it'll ever actually stack up per se, because batteries will be cheaper than you can achieve with that. But yeah, it was a hell of an interesting trip. Yeah, a big array of mirrors shining up onto a set of towers, and they're also putting in molten salt batteries. So in this case, thermal batteries. They just store the heat in the mixture of sodium chloride and potassium chloride that's melted, and then they run water through a heat exchanger to run a turbine when it's off peak. But yeah, Catalan. I liked the Catalan. It's definitely a different language according to people from there, but when you look at it, you get exactly what you'd expect to get if you took Spanish and mixed it with a bit of French from next door. And but don't say that to to someone from there. They would, yeah, it's not going to go down well. That's like calling a Canadian an American.
Or someone from Basque, French. Oh,
So again, he doesn't seem to really understand the point, right?
Yeah,
So who
Dave.
cares, like, about Grand Coulee Bank and how much photovoltaic you have to lay out to,
Yeah,
you know,
stop
replace it?
Stop working in Imperial, Dave.
Also completely
That's not what
irrelevant.
science is done in.
Yeah,
Move
but
over the metric.
unfortunately, Americans, we yeah.
Yeah, calling
Yeah,
Scott English.
That's true. True, Craig. Yeah, you're just another Englishman with a weird accent. You go, oh no.
You're just an Englishman in a skirt.
And the thing is, when you're having these arguments,
Wow.
and I mean, the thing is with Dave, the arguments just he's not even listening, right? He's not engaging with the actual
No, he's
argument.
not interested. That's exactly what I discovered. He carries on exactly like a Christian apologist when you provide evidence that the Shroud of Turin is not real. They just go, and just keep moving the goalpost around and changing to something else. So that's irrelevant. And something else.
And just in terms of back to the, I think you had sort of mentioned it, but it's not efficient for everyone to go off the grid, have their own solar array, have their own batteries. Yeah, it's a horrible waste, because if you do it at the central location, you get economies of scale and a lot more efficiencies.
Yeah.
And you aren't going to have all these inefficient individual batteries. You could have more efficient batteries, or a different technology for energy storage at the kind of central level.
Yeah. To answer Tilting's question, Dave did answer that for me. Apparently, it was going to cost him like $60,000 to connect to the grid. So as a result, it makes sense. And I was saying that one of my really good friends, the guy I helped build the house for, remember that photograph of me with the hairy legs, with the Wolfman legs? That was me helping build his house. So he's off grid, or at least he was. And just like me, he is senior electrical engineer in that space as well. And it's complex, and to achieve reliability stuff, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But it was going to cost him $45,000 to connect to the grid, and he said, "Nah, we'll just go with PV because it'll save that effort." But ultimately, he's decided he's going to fork out and connect to the grid because it just doesn't keep stacking up. It's annoying. Even when you're an expert in the damn thing, it's still annoying for the average. And Dave said that he's had a great experience with his off-grid stuff, and we go, well, that's terrific. But I work in the way in which people do on average, and in order to meet reliability and performance characteristics of the grid, the size and cost of your and complexity of your system is enormous, which means it's got lots of points of failure, and then it takes a lot to repair and a lot of time. Whereas in Australia, you know, if you have a power line fall down, or you've got a power outage, they're going to have a field crew come out and try and fix it, even in the middle of the damn night. Quite often you'll get your power restored within a few hours, whereas try and get an electrician to come out and wire in a new inverter, you might have to wait a week, because
and you'll probably cost half a car.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
It's-
so it's
expensive.
so yeah.
Let me just interrupt here, because Dave did try to come on, and lest he, claims that we somehow aren't bringing him up for some reason, he got on, but it didn't have any mic or camera, and that means I can't actually even if I tried, I can't put him up.
Yeah, that's
So-
actually how I kicked myself off earlier, as we were just starting. I turned off my mic and camera simultaneously and booted myself off the stage.
I see. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what happened.
I go, oh, hang on, turn my speaker back on. Oh, look.
So
I can come
Dave,
back.
you had a working mic when you got on, so you have
Yeah.
to get that working if you are going to come back on. And
Even
I
if you
do want
mute
you to come back on,
Yeah,
since
pop
we
your-
are.
Try putting
Kinda
your headphones on. I noticed you had headphones when you first popped on, Dave. Try popping them back on. It might work.
Yeah, it's been a fun discussion anyway. A little bit.
Yeah.
So
I really want to know if he has RB win. He didn't respond to my question, and I don't know how Tuna Man, or why he thinks that this is RB win. I wouldn't be surprised, just because I think the thinking or lack of it is very similar, but
yeah.
Hey,
He talked to a person once, and now he knows.
What was I going to say? Did we ever find out what Orange religion was? Apart from some generic
no.
preacher from a Christian something. No one had any ideas.
Nope.
I get the idea he was JW or one of those type.
Yeah.
Given where he's located, I could see why you say that.
Sorry?
Given that where he lived, if he was still in the States, right? I think he said it was from Utah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could say that he could have been either a JW or a Mormon, something like that.
Yeah, it's a
'cause-
really good chance of Mormon from Utah.
and it's that thing of no voting, don't say the Pledge of Allegiance, which I don't think any Americans should say. What are people's thoughts on all you poor Seppo bastards being now classed as terrorists?
Don't forget, it's also similar in England as well.
Oh,
So,
is it?
so Craig, sorry mate, you're a if you're a lefty, you might be a terrorist too.
Huh.
Get yourself arrested for sitting on a footpath, quietly protesting.
Huh.
Emma Thorne had a discussion about it. I was watching this morning. So yeah, terrorists.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I'll have to catch her show. Has anyone caught a new presenter over on the AXP? I think it's a black lady, thinker. I think she might have been on the line at some stage as well.
I haven't really watched many videos. I just do a lot of commenting.
Yeah, I've got to admit, it's a bit the same.
Yeah.
If you come across a a thumbnail with thinker on it. She's really good. Unlike a lot of the female hosts, the new female hosts, she actually sounds sexist, but she's got balls. She doesn't take shit from it, and it's really good to see. Yeah, so yeah, Tilton's watched her. Yeah, she is really good. I'll try in the comments later to put a link to her page or whatever. But yeah, I don't know what's going on in America. I like as Matt in his rant said on the hang up. You know, if you're going to run an undercover operation, you don't do a press release stating that you're going to do an undercover operation. I mean, yeah,
that defeats the whole purpose, of course.
Yeah, but it's just moving to more insanity. Craig, do you have to, like, when you get online, do you have to verify your ID? You know, like with the new laws and whatnot, the cyber whatever. I'll wait till it answers. I know Neil said when he signs in, he's got to like his driver's license or his over 18 card or something that he has to do. We don't have to do that yet in Australia.
But they are working towards it with trying to force social media companies to lock out anyone under 16 from social media.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
in which case then there'll be requirements for verification of age of some stuff. And this, in this case, it's not adult stuff. It's just all social media, Craig. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, it's they've been pushing that for here in Australia for well over a decade. I think 15 years they've been trying to get that sort of stuff put into law, and they're getting it, which I don't understand. If you've got kids, yeah, they're going to break whatever code you put on your nanny cam or whatever, they're going to break it.
Eventually,
but at least walk past their room or whatever and keep an eye on it. I don't think it's intrusive, you know.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
You don't want them going off onto, age appropriate is fine, but trying to censor the whole thing is just ridiculous.
On a unrelated matter, since we are getting pretty well close to the end of it.
Oh, can you just? I just wanted to give Craig a recommendation. So that's the reason why God created VPNs.
Yeah.
I got one.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Clark.
Yes. I talked previously about the baby, about my betters having got on the good foot and done the bad thing and made lots of little eggs. So this, for those who are unaware, is my blue sky. So this is what I put up previously. So I don't know if what you can see in. Wait, hang on. How much you can see in there? It's a little hard to.
It's those black little dots with the eggs.
Yeah, so most of the dots are bubbles, but in amongst the bubbles, you can see there's like 5 eggs in the bubbles here.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, you can see little eggs, and if you look closely, you can see little eggs. Like there's one there, and yeah, as you look closer, it's the whole thing is just all eggs. Well, anyway, I just posted up a thing to say, hey, the little baby bedders are growing really well. This is the little bucket I have them in where they are. So there's baby bedders sort of all over the place in here. They're a little hard to spot. So I've got a closer in view of a couple. And if we look right here in the middle of the shot, there's a baby there.
Yep.
And there's a baby there. And there was a third one in here somewhere too that I saw in the shot. Just on the side, coming in at the edge here, there's a third one coming in. So so the little dudes are growing really well, and there's a bazillion of them in the bucket. So
You're gonna have to sing now. You have to sing "Baby Beta." Do.
No! God, I worked in retail. They used to play that song all the time as a marketing thing.
At least it's not a trolley problem.
Y'all just not gonna leave that alone from me.
All right.
So yeah, they're doing super. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what they grow up to look like.
Okay, so we'll end it here. So I do want to thank Dave at least for coming on, despite him calling people cowards and despite him having to take the awful step of actually subscribing in order to make a comment. But he did come on.
But now he can take the fun step of going, screw you, guy, unsubscribe.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
So actually, I'm giving him an opportunity to have that pleasure of unsubscribing.
Yeah.
So
without subscribing, you can't unsubscribe.
Exactly. So any of you who are watching this, go ahead and subscribe so that you can later unsubscribe.
Yeah.
I'd just like to make the point that any fitter internal will tell you bollocks Imperial is easier. What have we got? Let's see, British Pipe Imperial. We got Whitworth. We got AF. No, it's not easy.
There's a reason why in science it's all in metric.
Yeah. And American Imperial is completely different to the rest of the world. So yeah.
Dave, just so you know, I am an expert. I'm aware of the complexities that you aren't, and prepared to actually do the work that you aren't. So yeah.
My mic is a cell phone. All right. Okay.
Well, Craig, I'm sorry. I gotta say this.
Anyway,
not tonight, Craig. I don't have the alcohol for it.
All right.
Hey.
Thanks, Craig, Tilting, Errant. Oh, we had Errant on and he somehow got dropped off.
Yeah.
And remember, there was no nudity or sexual innuendo.
Even though you wanted to.
Yeah. Not from you.
We only mentioned urination at the beginning of the show for a brief period.
That's true.
Yeah.
Didn't want shit ourselves.
Thanks, Tuna.
You just had to bring it up.
There it is.
Oh, dear God.
Thanks. All right. We'll see you next week, guys. Thanks.
See you next week.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.